Hey everyone, and thanks for joining me. Today we'll be going over some avant-garde brands you may or may not know. So basically why I wanted to make this video, it was to showcase a few brands that might be a bit obscure or you guys might not know about, but they definitely have that influence and that look that I've been following through the history of this channel, right? So the brands I'm going to show you today are what I like to call like the second generation brands, as in these brands are heavily influenced by what has been coming from the past and from the people who created this image, this aesthetic, this whole gothic avant-garde aesthetic. So when I say second generation, I would say the first generations were the pioneers. In the Japan, it was Joji Yamamoto and Rei Kawakubo from Comme des Garçons as I think the creators of this aesthetic. And then over on Europe, it would be Paul Harnden, Carol Christian Poel, and the collective Carpe Diem, which if you guys want me to make a video about all these generators of this aesthetic, I can do it too. But there's a very good article on Grailed about this that I'll link in the description. Nearly all these brands are lumped together, as the article says, and they all kind of, you can say, oh, they're all pretty much the same thing over and over, but that takes away from their individuality and the creative process of every one of these artists. And for me, their clothes it's a work of art. Most of them are made by hand, by very select materials, be it cotton, linen, etc. And it also, those are very unique and extremely expensive as they are made by hand. They're very hard to get as well, some of these clothes. And I think I don't own any of these artists I'm gonna show you, any of these brands I'm gonna show you now. Alright, so I'll be showing you a few brands that I really like the look of them, and then they're heavily influenced by the ones I just said now. Let's start. Alright, so the first brand I want to show you is Araki Yu. Araki Yu was founded by Araki Yu himself, who was a student of fashion in school in Japan. There's not much information about him on the internet, but what I know is that he makes all of his clothes handmade. So Araki Yu had an internship in a few Japanese houses. I don't know which ones they were, but they might have been Joji Yamamoto and others. He was very, the information about him in the internet says he was very focused on traditional dressmaking and tailorship. So a few years later, after he had gathered all this experience, Yu decided to make his own brand, but every garment made by hand, by himself, with skills that he had learned in Japan. He normally does jackets, shirts, coats, and pants, and mostly he is focused on linen-based clothes and also cotton-based clothes. I'll put a few images here so you can get a little bit of the vibe and the feel of them. They're very artisanal, loose edges, and they give this whole look that reminds you of the past, but at the same time is very, very current. And I think the brand ethos of Araki Yu is that he makes pieces that will last for a long time, and very unique pieces at that. Alright, the second brand I wanted to talk about is Janjan Vanesh. Going from Japan, we now go to Belgium, which is one of the greatest places for fashion designers to be born in. I mean, you guys know. He graduated from the Antwerp Royal Academy of Arts before embarking on his career on fashion. He launched his label in 2010 with a debut collection he called Yukiri, which is a Japanese term signifying slowness, taking things slowly, etc. So with that name, we're already knowing what his vibe and what his ethos of this brand is going to be. In 2013, he launched projects which explore traditional forms of weaving and garment construction and serve as specialized counterparts to the existing collections. That's what the press release says. It seems he draws a lot of inspiration from conventional Western tailoring, and he really is focused in a lot of details We can see the Japanese influence very hardcore here. We can see the Joji influence very strong here. And as I said, he used wax cotton. He uses very fine materials to give this whole look, this whole aesthetic that we're looking for, that we're following all around all these brands. His design is very beautiful, very simple, and I really like what he does. Again, the prices are very high, but I think it's worth it. Right, now going to Italy, the next brand I wanted to show you guys is Isabel Bennato. Isabel launched her first line of menswear in 2011, and she was showing some minimalist silhouettes, following again the same trend we've been seeing here. A lot of black, and I feel like here in Isabel Bennato I see the most strong Joji influence. I see the same things we see in Joji, long drape, black. Her designs are very similar, and they have a different twist sometimes. She's more focused in women's wear, I believe. She uses Italian craftsmanship, which gives another edge to her clothes. And she was born in Naples, I believe. Plays with proportions and raw seams and different kind of structures to give a new kind of look to this whole avant-garde fashion world. I'll put a few more pictures here so you guys can have a feel of it. Right, so next one, and one of my favorites to be honest, is Elena Dawson. Elena Dawson is a women's wear and menswear designer slash shoemaker, I believe. She was born in London, and she finding Paul Hardon clothiers in 2000, which was one of the pioneers in the avant-garde fashion world. She was an instrumental part of the design, concept, and business until 2006, when she decided to establish her own independent line and clothing line and shoe line. All of her garments and accessories are made in-house, so she makes it all by themselves, by hand, and they're very, I said they're extremely avant-garde. They look old and used, but they're very luxurious. I had a chance to go to Dover Street Market in London and actually check out her clothes. She used a lot of linen, a lot of cotton again, and raw seams to give this like disheveled look, but at the same time very refined and formal wear. I really love Elena Dawson's designs, and I hope in the future I can have some of her pieces in my collection. I found an interview where it says that Elena makes clothes the same way a painter paints, getting lost in the process, being one with it. She says, I don't like to overplan a collection and prefer to remain at the idea stage. I don't want to explain it to myself, to be too self-conscious of what I make when I'm making it, she says. As a result, her Victorian influenced clothes have a ghost-like quality that incorporate the spirit of the creator. I definitely agree with the ghost-like quality. When I saw the dresses, they definitely reminded me of very ethereal, very loose and flowy textures. Next one we're gonna check out, and probably one of the most famous ones of these, is Mauricio Monday. He has a brand called MA+, which you might have seen everywhere. If you follow some avant-garde Instagrams or whatever, when you see a cross, it's probably from MA+. Mauricio Monday was one of the original creators of Carpe Diem, which was one of the originators of the whole avant-garde fashion movement. An Italian designer, and he's known for innovative techniques of folding, of creating clothes, etc. Something very similar to Carol Kirsten Poel. Mauricio Monday works with a lot of with leather, with aged leather, to give that specific look where we really like to his clothes, his jacket, and his belts. Another typical element of his are silver, handcrafted silver details he puts in his clothes, which you can see everywhere, from his shoes to the belts. You can instantly recognize a Mauricio Monday piece. Finally, the last one I wanted to showcase was Beek Verstappen, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. She is a designer born in Amsterdam, and she works with a lot of raw silk, raw materials. Here it says she used natural fibers such as bamboo, wool, Angora goat, camel, yak, several breeds of sheep. During the whole process, she selects them herself, and then she uses them and works in different ways with them to manipulate them. Her clothes are very characteristic of being having a lot of folds and being very creative and different. She definitely brings to the table, to the avant-garde world, something that hasn't been seen before. And the way she works with her clothes is amazing, and the quality of them is very cool as well. Again, it reminds me of CCP, from like she experiments a lot with her clothes, and I really like the aesthetic she's going for. Alright, so that's pretty much it. These are the 5 brands I wanted to showcase first. There's a ton more I have in my backlog, so if you guys enjoyed this video, we can definitely make another one of more brands, accessory brands, shoewear brands, everything that brings this whole avant-garde aesthetic that I really love and I'm really looking into together. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you next time.